Let me be real with you, pain is part of life. It's not a question of if you'll face it, but when. And when it hits, it doesn't knock politely. Pain crashes into your life, wrecking plans, dreams, and even your sense of self. It's heavy. It's raw. It's real. And pretending it's not there, it doesn't help. You can't outrun pain. You can't bury it deep enough that it disappears. The first step to overcoming it is to acknowledge it. Say it out loud. Yes, I'm hurt. Yes, I'm struggling. Because when you name it, you can begin to face it. Pain is like a storm. You feel it in your bones, in your heart, in your mind. It shakes you to your core, making you question everything. But storms don't last forever, and neither does pain. The problem is too many people let the storm convince them they can't move forward. They get comfortable in their discomfort. They build their identity around their pain, telling themselves, this is just who I am now. No, that's not who you are. It's just what you're going through. There's a big difference. Listen, I know it's tempting to stay in the pain because it feels familiar. Rock bottom can almost feel like home when you've been there long enough. But settling there means giving up on everything you're capable of becoming. It's like planting roots in the middle of a desert when there's an oasis just over the hill. You're better than that. You deserve better than that. But it starts with recognizing that while pain is part of your journey, it's not the final destination. Here's the truth. Feeling pain doesn't make you weak. It makes you human. Every warrior, every champion, every survivor has faced moments of overwhelming hurt. It's not about avoiding those moments. It's about what you do with them. Denying your pain doesn't make it go away. It just makes it louder. Acknowledge it, sit with it, learn from it, but don't unpack your bags and move in. Pain is a teacher, not a landlord. Too often we're taught to push pain aside, to stay positive and move on as quickly as possible. But let me tell you, moving on too soon is like putting a bandage on a wound that needs stitches. You can't heal what you won't face. And facing it isn't about drowning it. It's about honoring the fact that it's there, recognizing the sand, and deciding what you're going to do next. You have to feel it to heal it. You see, pain can either paralyze you or propel you. It's your choice. Some people let it define them. They carry it around like a badge of defeat, using it as an excuse to stay stuck. But warriors, they do something different. They acknowledge their pain not as a reason to stop, but as fuel to keep going. They say, yes, this hurts, but it won't break me. Yes, I've fallen, but I'm getting back up. That mindset shift is where transformation begins. A lot of times we confuse pain with permanence. We think, this is my life now. This is how it's always going to be. But let me remind you, pain is temporary. Even the deepest wounds heal with time, effort, and care. You don't have to rush the process, but you also don't have to stay in it longer than necessary. Healing is your responsibility. Nobody else can do it for you. But you can't start the healing process until you face the pain head on. Here's the key. Pain is part of the process, but it's not the whole process. You've got to look pain in the eye and say, I see you, but I'm not staying with you. It's a stop on your journey, not the final chapter. Acknowledge it, respect it, and then use it as the foundation to build something stronger, wise, and more resilient. Because once you stop letting pain dictate your life, you'll realize it's not an anchor, it's a stepping stone. Hitting rock bottom is one of the hardest things you'll ever experience. It feels like the ground has been ripped out from under you and all you're left with is darkness and uncertainty. But let me tell you something, rock bottom is not the end. It's the place where everything else in your life has been stripped away and what you're left with is a solid foundation to rebuild. It's where you stop falling and start rising. It's where you realize that while you may have lost a lot, you haven't lost yourself. And that is where your power lies. When you're at rock bottom, you see things differently. The distractions, the noise, the things that didn't matter but took up so much of your time, they're all gone. What you're left with is clarity. You begin to see what's truly important, your health, your relationships, your purpose. That clarity is a gift, but only if you're willing to embrace it. Too many people look at rock bottom as a punishment, but what if it's not? What if it's a reset button? What if it's the universe's way of saying, this is your chance to start fresh? Think about it when you're at the bottom, there's nothing left. That's the most freeing position you can be in because it means you have everything to gain. Rock bottom is the place where fear starts to lose its grip on you. You've already fallen. You've already felt the worst. So what's stopping you from taking the risk you were too scared to take before? It's the moment when you stop worrying about failure because failure has already happened. Now it's about what you're going to do with it. Rock bottom teaches you to be resourceful. When you don't have much, you learn to make the most of what you do have. Maybe you've lost money, but you still have your mind. Maybe you've lost relationships, but you still have your ability to connect. Maybe you've lost your confidence, but you still have your work ethic. Those things are your building blocks. They're the tools you'll use to create something stronger than what you had before. Rock bottom doesn't take away your potential, it forces you to see it. One of the most important lessons rock bottom teaches is humility. When everything is stripped away, you're left with a raw, unfiltered version of yourself. And that's not a bad thing. It's in those moments of humility that you can start to rebuild with honesty and authenticity. You're no longer pretending to be someone you're not or chasing things that don't matter. You're focused on what's real, what's lasting, and what's meaningful. Humility isn't weakness, it's the foundation of strength. Rock bottom is also where resilience is born. Every time you decide to take one small step forward, you're building that muscle. You don't have to rebuild everything overnight. You don't need a perfect nor a flannel strategy. All you need is the decision to start. It might be messy, it might be slow, but every step is a step away from the bottom and toward a new version of yourself. That resilience becomes your greatest asset because once you've rebuilt from nothing, you realize you can handle anything. When you're at the bottom, you start to understand what truly matters. Success, fame, or material things may have seemed important before, but at rock bottom, you realize that those things don't define you. What defines you is your character, your values, and your willingness to keep going. You begin to focus on the things that bring real joy and purpose. Rock bottom strips away the superficial and forces you to build a life rooted in authenticity and meaning. Rock bottom is not a punishment, it's an invitation. It's an invitation to stop clinging to the things that weren't serving you and to start building something better. It's the moment where you shift from being a victim of your circumstances to becoming the architect of your life. Every scar, every lesson, every tear becomes a brick in the foundation of the person you're becoming. Rock bottom isn't the place where your story ends, it's the place where the real story begins. Your mindset is the battlefield where every victory or defeat begins. If you're stuck in the mindset of a victim, life will always feel like it's happening to you. Every setback will feel like proof that you're powerless, that the world is against you, that you're destined to stay where you are. But the truth is, you're not a victim unless you choose to be. The moment you decide to shift your perspective is the moment you start reclaiming your power. You're not here to survive, you're here to thrive. And thriving starts with a decision to think like a victor. Victimhood thrives on blame. It's easy to point the finger at circumstances, people, or bad luck. I didn't get the job because they didn't like me. My business failed because the economy is bad. I can't lose weight because it runs in my family. Well, those things might be true to some extent. Staying in the mindset of blame keeps you stuck. Victors don't waste energy on blame, they take ownership. They ask, what can I do to change this? Owning your situation isn't about fault. It's about taking control of your response. The victim mindset is comfortable because it removes responsibility. If you believe everything is out of your hands, you never have to try. You never have to risk failing because you've already accepted defeat. But comfort is the enemy of growth. Victors step into discomfort because they know that's where transformation happens. They understand that growth means taking risks, making mistakes, and learning from them. The victim avoids the storm, the victor faces it head on, knowing it's the only way to the other side. One of the biggest differences between a victim and a victor is how they view failure. To the victim, failure is the end. It's proof that they're not good enough, smart enough, or strong enough. But to the victor, failure is feedback. It's a lesson, a stepping stone, a part of the process. Victors don't fear failure because they know it's not final. Every time they fall, they rise stronger, wiser, and more determined. The mindset shift happens when you stop asking, why me? And start asking, what can I learn from this? Another key to shifting from victim to victor is focusing on what you can control. Victims get stuck in the what ifs and if onlys. They waste energy on things they can't change, other people's opinions, past mistakes, or unfair circumstances. Victors, on the other hand, focus on what's within their power, their attitude, their effort, and their decisions. They understand that while they can't control everything, they can control how they respond. That shift in focus changes everything. It takes you from feeling helpless to feeling empowered. Your self-talk is a powerful indicator of whether you're thinking like a victim or a victor. Victims tell themselves, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, or it's too hard. Those words become chains that keep them trapped. Victors speak a different language. They say, I can figure this out, I'm capable, and I'm stronger than this challenge. It's not about lying to yourself or ignoring reality. It's about choosing to believe in your ability to grow, adapt, and overcome. What you tell yourself shapes what you become. Victors also understand the importance of gratitude. A victim sees only what's missing, what's wrong, and what's unfair. They dwell on lack and scarcity. But a victor looks for the good, even in the hardest situations. They find reasons to be grateful, whether it's for the lessons they're learning, the people who support them, or the strength they didn't know they had. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's wrong to what's possible. It's a powerful tool for changing your perspective and opening your mind to solutions. Finally, making the shift from victim to victor requires relentless determination. This isn't a one-time decision, it's a daily choice. Every morning, you have to decide whether you're going to let life dictate your actions or whether you're going to take charge. It's not easy. There will be days when the victim mindset tries to creep back in, when the obstacles feel too big and the progress feels too small. But victors don't quit. They keep pushing, keep believing, and keep fighting because they know that the only thing standing between them and victory is their mindset. Finding your why is the most powerful thing you can do for yourself. It's the reason you wake up in the morning. It's the fire that keeps you going when everything around you tells you to quit. Without a why, you're just going through the motions, chasing goals that might not even matter to you. But when you have a clear why, nothing can stop you. Your why gives you purpose, direction, and a reason to push forward when the road gets tough. It's the anchor that holds you steady and the compass that guides your path. Your why isn't something you stumble upon by accident. It requires deep reflection. You have to ask yourself the hard questions: what matters to me? What do I want to be remembered for? Who am I doing this for? It's not always easy to find those answers, especially when life is noisy and full of distractions. But you have to take the time, sit with yourself, be honest, peel back the layers until you get to the core of what truly drives you. Your why isn't about what others expect of you. It's about what sets your soul on fire. When you find your why, you gain clarity. Suddenly, the choices you need to make become obvious. You stop wasting time on things that don't align with your purpose. You stop saying yes to everyone else's priorities and start focusing on your own. Your why gives you a filter for your life. If it doesn't serve your purpose, it doesn't deserve your energy. That kind of clarity is a game changer because it allows you to move through life with intention instead of just reacting to whatever comes your way. When life knocks you down, the only way to rise is to outwork the situation. There's no shortcut, no magic formula, no easy way out. It's about putting in the work day in, day out until the situation bends to your will. Every setback, every obstacle, every disadvantage you face can be overcome if you're willing to outwork it. That's the truth. Life might not be fair, but effort levels the playing field. No matter where you start, no matter what's stacked against you, your work ethic is the one thing no one can take away from you. Outworking the situation starts with showing up, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. It's easy to work hard when everything is going your way. But what about when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when progress feels like it's crawling? That's when the real work begins. Those moments separate the ones who talk about it from the ones who are about it. The situation will test you, but the question is, will you show up anyway? Will you dig deep and do what needs to be done, even when it's hard? You have to understand this: effort beats talent. When talent doesn't work hard, you might not be the smartest person in the room. You might not have the most resources or the best connections, but none of that matters if you're willing to outwork everyone else. Hard work creates opportunities. It builds momentum and forces doors open that were once locked. When you commit to outworking the situation, you're not relying on luck or waiting for a break. You're creating your own success 1 hour, one step, one grind at a time. Outworking the situation means embracing the grind. It's about falling in love with the process, not just the results. Too many people quit because they're obsessed with instant gratification. They want the reward without the struggle, the trophy without the sweat. But that's not how it works. The grind is where you grow. It's where you learn what you're capable of. Every late night, every early morning, every moment you choose to push forward instead of pulling back is a brick in the foundation of your success. The grind is the price you pay to outwork the situation. There will be times when the situation feels bigger than you, when the odds feel overwhelming. That's when you have to remind yourself no situation is permanent. You might be broke, but you're not broken. You might be down, but you're not out. The situation only wins if you stop fighting. Outworking the situation means refusing to let it define you. It's about taking control, even if it's just one small action at a time. Progress might be slow, but as long as you're moving, you're winning. Outworking the situation is also about consistency. Anyone can work hard for a day, a week, even a month. But true success requires sustained effort. It's about showing up every single day, regardless of how you feel. It's about doing the boring, repetitive tasks that others avoid because they're not glamorous. Consistency beats intensity every time. When you outwork the situation, you're playing the long game. You're not just looking for quick wins, you're building a foundation that can't be shaken no matter what comes your way. Another key to outworking a situation is discipline. Motivation will get you started, but discipline will keep you going. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. But discipline is a habit, a decision to do the work whether you feel like it or not. Discipline is what gets you out of bed in the morning when the excuses are piling up. It's what keeps you focused when distractions are pulling at you from every direction. Outworking the situation means leaning on discipline when motivation fades. When you commit to outworking the situation, you're sending a message to yourself and to the world: I will not be defeated. It's not about being the best, it's about being relentless. It's about refusing to settle, refusing to let the situation have the final word. Every ounce of effort you put in is a step closer to victory. The situation might challenge you, but your work ethic will outlast it. That's the mindset of a warrior, the mindset that guarantees progress no matter how tough the climb. Success isn't built on hype. It's not about flashes of inspiration or moments of motivation. Hype will get you excited, but it won't get you results. What gets results, what creates real, lasting change is the quiet, consistent work of building habits. Habits are the foundation of success because they shape what you do day in and day out. They're the small, deliberate actions that, over time, create extraordinary outcomes. If you're serious about leveling up, forget the hype and focus on building habits. Hype fades. It's like a spark that burns brightly for a moment and then fizzles out. It feels good in the moment, but it's not sustainable. That's why so many people start strong and then fall off. They're chasing the feeling of excitement instead of committing to the process. Habits, on the other hand, don't rely on emotion. They don't care whether you're motivated or not. When you have strong habits, you show up regardless of how you feel. That consistency is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Habits are about discipline, not drama. They're not flashy and they're not glamorous. No one's going to cheer for you when you wake up early to hit the gym, when you choose the salad over the fries, or when you spend an hour studying instead of scrolling. But those small, uncelebrated choices are what add up over time. The people who succeed aren't the ones chasing the spotlight, they're the ones doing the work in the shadows. Building habits that will carry them when the hype is gone. Building habits starts with simplicity. Too often, people set themselves up for failure by trying to do too much at once. They want to overhaul their entire lives overnight, but that's not how habits work. Habits are built through small, incremental changes. Pick one thing, just one, and commit to it. Maybe it's drinking a glass of water first thing in the morning, reading 10 pages of a book each night, or taking a 5-minute walk every day. Start small, build consistency, and then expand. The key is to focus on progress, not perfection. The power of habits lies in their compounding effect. One good habit leads to another. When you start working out regularly, you're more likely to healthier. When you create a habit of planning your day, you become more productive. Habits build momentum. They create a positive feedback loop that makes it easier to keep going. It might not feel like much at first, but over time, those small changes add up to massive results. Success doesn't come from one big leap, it comes from hundreds of tiny steps. Another important aspect of building habits is patience. Too many people quit because they don't see results fast enough. They expect instant gratification. But habits don't work like that. They're about delayed gratification. Put in the work today for the rewards you'll see tomorrow, next month, or next year. It takes time to see the benefits of your efforts, but when you stick with it, the results are worth it. Habits are like planting seeds. You won't see the harvest right away, but if you keep watering and tending to them, they'll grow into something amazing. Habits also protect you from burnout. When you rely on hype, you're constantly chasing highs, and when those highs disappear, so does your momentum. Habits, on the other hand, create a steady rhythm. They make the hard work manageable because they break it down into daily action. When you have solid habits, you don't have to rely on willpower or motivation to get things done. You just do it because it's part of who you are. That consistency keeps you moving forward even when life gets tough. Finally, building habits is about identity. It's not just about what you do, it's about who you become. When you build habits, you're casting votes for the kind of person you want to be. Every time you follow through on a habit, you're reinforcing your identity. You're not just someone who works out, you're an athlete. You're not just someone who saves money, you're financially disciplined. You're not just someone who reads, you're a lifelong learner. Habits shape your identity, and your identity shapes your future. That's why habits are so much more powerful than hype.